So it's okay. It's okay for, as Tony Bobulinski said, for China to bribe Joe Biden's family with $9 million.
But that's the lie that's been discredited. I mean, where is your impeachment investigation? If Joe Biden took a $9 million bribe from China, why aren't you impeaching him for that?
Well, who says we're not?
Well, I can invite Mr. Moskowitz to come back in. Do you want to move for impeachment today? Because I thought that was your main agenda item. You said it was the paramount priority of the committee. I don't know
what
who you're
business
talking
were they
about.
in?
Well, what business is the Comers in? You're talking about lots of people. There's lots of people in the family.
I'm a farmer. I have land.
Your impeachment investigation must identify a high crime and misdemeanor.
What did they do?
I'll tell you what Joe Biden did. He was a senator of the United States. Then he wrote a book, and he said he made the most money he ever made in his life, millions of dollars on his book, and he gave $1 million away
That's what his family did. That's why Ukraine, Kazakhstan, Romania, China, Russia, that's why they paid the Biden family money, because of Joe Biden.
None of those governments paid anyone any money.
Somebody needs therapy here, but it's nobody on our side of the aisle, okay?
Because
honestly,
hearing. Back to the China
you
hearing.
had your chance.
Order,
I would like my time restored.
No, your time was expired.
You interrupted me. I want my time
you
restored.
You had your time. You went above, and I let Ms. Thornton go a minute.
You know what?
Here, sit down, everybody. Come back. This is about China. We asked a simple question. Now, Ms. Presley, you're out of order. Sit down.
Number 2, I would like my time restored. And number 3,
no, you
have not identified a single crime. No. Well, what is the crime that you want to impeach Joe Biden for and keep this nonsense going? Why? What is the crime? Tell America right now.
You're about to find out.
What is the crime?
You're about to find out
Name
very
it.
soon. Chair
we
now
inhabit
recognizes
a
Mr.
propaganda
Biggs from
experiment.
Arizona. Did they have an energy
Mr.
company?
Chairman, we have spent tens of millions of dollars pursuing Joe Biden, and you have not identified a single crime.
You are lying. That is a lie. We have not spent $10 million.
Hey, how much have you spent?
We haven't spent hardly anything.
Oh, it's been for free. Okay. All right. Well, in any event, you know what? Then we get what we paid for, because you got nothing.
If you want to see the entire Republican grift exposed in one fell swoop, just watch this interaction between Jamie Raskin and Republican Oversight Chairman James Comer. Somehow, on some planet, James Comer is still keeping up the con of pretending that Joe Biden did something wrong or illegal, and that impeachment is definitely still on the table. I'm sorry, but I just gotta say it. At this point, if you are a Republican voter or a Fox News viewer, you must be able to see how dumb these Republican politicians think you are. This guy is going to string you along forever, despite the fact that he's produced zero evidence, because his goal is manipulating you into thinking that Biden is a criminal, but knows that when push comes to shove, he won't actually be able to have the votes to impeach. Republicans think you are stupid, and they are proving it on a daily basis. I can't tell anyone what to do, but if someone in power wielded that power solely to manipulate me, I certainly wouldn't reward them with my vote. And let's be clear, the way you know that they'll never impeach Joe Biden and that this is all just a blatant effort to drag out what they hope will be damaging optics is because Jared Moskowitz literally offered to vote to impeach him first.
And so, look, Chairman, we got like 3.5 minutes here. I mean, let's just do the impeachment. I mean, why continue to waste millions of dollars of the taxpayers' money if we're going to impeach because you believe you've shown he's committed a high crime and misdemeanor? What are you waiting on? Let's just do it. I mean, by the way, we got Chairman Jordan here also, the double chairman. Why aren't you guys calling for the vote in your committee? When is it going to happen? When can we tell the American people you're going to stop wasting their money and just call for the vote on impeachment?
Gentlemen, yield?
Sure.
We don't do snap impeachments like you guys. We actually do the facts. We do oversight according to the Constitution.
You're never going to call for it. You're never going to call for it. I mean,
now you can predict. You can predict the future. How do you know?
You guys only have 6 more months probably in power, right, until the election. So are you gonna do it in 2 months? Are you gonna do it in 3 months? Like, tell the American people.
Does the Constitution put a time limit on oversight? I don't think I didn't read that in the Constitution.
If you believe you can't call for the impeachment now, then what you're admitting is you haven't yet proven that he's committed a high crime and misdemeanor. You haven't proven it yet. Otherwise, you would call for it, I assume.
We're doing our work.
Okay, so they haven't proven it. Right? They haven't proven he committed a high crime and misdemeanor. Otherwise, we would call for impeachment. So look, the chairman knows me well. I mean, I'm just here to help him, right? And so I just think we should do it today. Let's just call for it. I'll make the motion, Mr. Chairman. I want to help you out. You can second it, right? Like, make the motion to impeach President Biden. Go ahead. It's your turn. You second it. No, nothing. Okay, we got nothing.
There it is. That was Jared Moskowitz himself offering to get the impeachment of Joe Biden started because he's that certain that Republicans never actually intended to actually move forward with this impeachment, considering the whole point of it was always solely to perpetuate a narrative that Biden did something wrong. To be clear, he didn't, and if you needed proof of that, consider the fact that Republicans have now been investigating him for 15 months. Don't you think that if they actually had a modicum of proof, a scintilla of evidence that Biden did something wrong, that they would have moved to impeach him already? Don't you think, given how much they hate the guy, that they would jump at the opportunity to do exactly that? And so in the absence of any impeachment vote, what does that tell you? It's clear that there was no basis for impeachment, just as there was never any basis even for an impeachment inquiry. But I've said it before and I'll say it again, this was never about the facts. Look, they know that they can't convince Americans that Donald Trump's hands are clean, and so their next best option was to convince everyone that Joe Biden's were dirty. This way it kind of cancels out Trump's illicit behavior, and then Trump and Biden would be on even footing, since purportedly they would both be just as corrupt. It's all just a scheme to manipulate Americans for their own partisan benefit, which, if you're familiar with today's Republican Party, is quite literally all they're capable of doing. So no, Biden will never be impeached. Republicans have had effectively the entire Congress. A baseless investigation amounting to nothing is all they've managed to do. They didn't pass a single bill to help anyone. They didn't bring costs down. They didn't make healthcare more affordable. They didn't even solve the border issue. All they did was burn daylight and tax dollars whining about Joe Biden. And of course, like Moskowitz said, they won't, because they have nothing. The problem is that while their interminable investigations may have worked in the past, like for example with Hillary Clinton and Benghazi, we've all smartened up and learned their tactics. It may have worked in 2016, but it's not going to work now. And finally, to end here, let's listen to the sage words of Jared Moskowitz, who finally lays the corpse of James Comer's impeachment effort to rest.
Chairman Comer has suffered tremendous loss. And we all know in our life what it's like to suffer tremendous loss. There's all sorts of different stages of grief, and that's the loss, obviously, of his impeachment hearing. And everyone deals with that different ways, and sometimes it takes time to grieve and struggle and fill that hole, that void that now exists now that he no longer has impeachment. But the only way we as a committee are going to help Chairman Comer get better is we have to get to the root cause, right? So for today's therapy session, okay, I want to talk about denial, right? The denial that the impeachment hearings are over. And the denial, obviously, that he started with the 1023 form, which was Russian disinformation. And so, Chairman Comer, psychology teaches us that, someone might be, like him, using denial as a defense mechanism. And signs include that you refuse to talk about the problem, you find ways to justify your behavior, you blame other people or outside forces for causing the problem, you persist in your behavior despite the consequences, you promise to address the problem maybe in the future, or you avoid thinking about the problem. And so in addition to these signs that Chairman Comer has been displaying, as we saw in the beginning, he also might be feeling hopeless or helpless. I just want the chairman to know that we're pulling for him. We really are. I know it's been hard to become someone who was used by the Russians, but the good news is that he set this hearing today on Chinese propaganda, because we've already lost him to Russian propaganda. I mean, we got to build a force field around the chairman to make sure we don't lose him to Chinese propaganda as well. And in fact, you can see behind me, these are quotes from the chairman, Chairman Comer, every single solitary time, and there are hundreds more, that he went on TV in interviews and talked about this 1023 form, which was all Russian disinformation. But we got to make the chairman understand that it's going to be okay. We will get him through this, but he's got to recognize that denial is not just a river in Egypt. He is going to have to face the fact that he was taken by the Russians.
Before you go, I need some help. please subscribe to this channel and do your part to help grow the progressive media ecosystem. I don't do sponsorships or paid ads. I won't ask for money, but just subscribing to this channel goes a really long way, and it helps get the message out to more people. The subscribe button is right here on the screen. You can also subscribe to my Spanish language channel, which I made to reach those crucial Spanish-speaking voters. That link is on the screen too. And finally, if you want to listen to my audio podcast, you can follow that link as well. Thanks so much for watching.